Oliver Adams from the EU referendum campaign, he predicts more violent protests are ahead in the UK as the worst is yet to come.
I think we are bound to see there's going to be much more financial hardship, there's going to be a lot more unemployment, a lot less public services that our vulnerable and our elderly and our sick rely on. There's going to be some huge cuts, and when they start to bite and people see that we're still bailing out other EU countries that were foolish enough to join the euro, then there's going to be a lot of anger. A coalition government, almost by definition, is a government that nobody wants. So as we start to bail out more and more countries, and as more things like student costs go up, and we see public sector services cuts and things like that, people will become more and more angry. So I think that these student demonstrations are just the very start of much more.
They called the vote the hour of reckoning, and as the hour approached, tension built on the streets of London. What began as small-scale clashes fast turned to violent and dangerous confrontations with the police. The area around Parliament was the focus for the protesters' fury. The battles there were to last for hours, leaving several police officers and campaigners injured.
There was a sense of inevitability about this. The police knew it, and many in the crowd seemed to know that on the day of the vote, some would not be content with peaceful protest.
They may have expected it, but a repeat of the violence of recent weeks left many who marched peacefully frustrated. They claimed those who hid behind masks and scarves did not speak for them. They questioned whether some of them were even students at all.
We're not here to be violent, we just want to be peaceful, and we don't want to pay so much for our education, you know?
We were told to prepare for this, but we didn't expect as many people to be violent.
It's a shame really, because it's because of a few people who've got a bit violent, but it didn't need to happen. It's just upsetting that they seem to represent the whole of us when it's the minority.
Protesters hurled flares, sticks and barriers at the police, who in turn took a hard line, pushing back the crowds on horseback and with truncheon assaults. Even so, buildings like the Treasury were targeted. Monuments defaced, and a car carrying Prince Charles and the Duchess of Cornwall was attacked. They were not harmed. As the hours passed, officers again resorted to the controversial tactic of containment, raising questions about the operation's effectiveness and accusations that they were heavy-handed.
I think that's, frankly, it's utter nonsense. I think anybody who's been watching the pictures of the violence today will just want to condemn it. Any right-minded individual, including peaceful protesters who want to make a point, will condemn what has happened today. And frankly, that is just an excuse that people are hiding behind. It's not acceptable.
That violence extended to London's shopping heartland of Oxford Street, where protesters attacked high street stores. Nearby, the Supreme Court was the focus for others' fury. Windows smashed before riot teams moved in. Time and time again, protesters tried to force their way through police lines onto the streets closest to Parliament, where the vote was taking place. Their anger and efforts failed to change the course of events inside, but there were few regrets about trying.
No, it's not a waste of time. It's people showing that they care about something, that there's something bigger than themselves that they're willing to protect.
It's always important to show your opinion, and like for us, I'm 16 and this is the only way that I can put my opinions across. Well, one of the ways, but I can't vote.
If every person thinks that, then no one's going to come. So I'm really happy I've come today, and I feel like I'm trying to make a difference.
The police effort to keep the protesters away from Parliament continued long into the night, with many students complaining about being restrained and kettled. The violence of the protests has masked the sheer breadth of feeling over the tuition fees and cuts. For weeks, tens of thousands have marched. Far fewer have been engaged in acts of vandalism and aggression. But few issues have galvanised so many young people in this nation in recent years, and they have promised to make those they feel have betrayed them pay politically.
Hello everyone, welcome to Global Government News. Today is Friday, December 10th, 2010, and I'm Darko. Welcome to this War on Terror, Liberty, Sovereignty news segment. And I would like to ask new listeners or new viewers to please check out my website, www.ggnonline.com. That's ggnonline.com. All right. Well, if you want to know what my thoughts are on this whole rioting in the UK over the rates, I think it is about rates, but I think it has to do with other stuff as well. Well, they have a shitty healthcare system. Some people think it's good. Others think it's eugenics care. But they're facing a lot of cuts, a lot of austerity measures, and also they're bailing out other countries, and they're not even in the euro. And, of course, that to me is by no coincidence because, well, the Rothschilds' arms, basically tentacles, extend throughout many areas of the world, but their hub is Britain and Germany. And, of course, after they took over the British economy back in the 1800s through trickery, they basically... Well, they contrived this whole euro idea, right? And now, they don't want to have their country a part of that. So I just thought that's kind of ironic. But the real story here is these riots and violence and anarchy, right? And people look at this and they see these people in these masks. Well, I'm going to go on a limb here and say this is just like the G20 and any other G8 summit or those types of, I guess you could say, meetings or... Basically, they're globalist meetings, and you always see these people in these masks, these ski masks. Now, I would assume that there's at least a couple that are legitimate people that, England's worse than, like, say, Chicago or New York as far as the cameras go, but they're really catching up. Chicago is really bad now, and they have cameras almost everywhere, in every intersection. You won't even know. They're actually in streetlights. If you pay attention, you'll see them. But... and over all kinds of corporate buildings and that. So they're everywhere now in Chicago, downtown. And it's just like that in Britain, so I could see why they would want to have ski masks. But at the same time, you have to remember that there's also government provocateurs. They're not even really government workers. They're just kind of liaisons or, what do you call it, clandestines, operatives. They basically get paid with a debit card or something, get a wire transfer to their account, and they go out and they damage private property. And that's not anarchy. Anarchy is not throwing stuff through windows of either damaging public property or especially private property. Anarchy respects private property and personal rights, and they don't use violence. So that's not anarchism, and it's not a good representation of a stateless society. What this is a representation of is a statism. This is all about statism. And unfortunately, like that one girl said, I'm only 16, I can't vote, so this is all I can do. Well, unfortunately, once you turn 18 and you vote about 10 times, you're going to realize that it doesn't do shit. It really doesn't. Voting is just there to appease the masses, to make them feel as if they have some kind of power. So the voting won't help you. These people came out and protested on the day of the vote. That's not going to help. I mean, you can go out there and peacefully just show you that you're there, but it's not going to do anything. It's not going to do anything. The only thing that people should get out of all of this is that they have no power. That these people do not represent them. I've said this in other videos. These guys, I'm not sure if the British... these days, MPs, I don't know if that means military police over there. You guys have different lingo, but, here in the U.S., the police officers are not representing the public. They're in a fraternal order of police. So they have kind of a brotherhood, like the Freemasons, in it that they don't represent you. So obviously, they don't mind bashing in your head with a baton or running you over with one of these shields or spraying you with pepper spray. So, it sucks because the state is representation of violence. They do everything through violence and coercion and force, not voluntary or voluntarism, right? Not voluntary actions on your behalf as an individual. No, that's not how it works. So how can you answer violence? Well, unfortunately, you're going to have to answer it with violence. That's the only way a violent psychopathic institution will acknowledge what you're saying. You have to speak to them with violence. So you can't do it peacefully. So if you want to do it peacefully, you have to end the state. I'm sorry, but some people don't want to hear that. They may get all scared or something like that. But that is an anarchism. So I just wanted to put that out there and give my little take on it. This will be a two-part series. So Here we go. Royal attack prompts questions on UK security. So after all of this, instead of focusing on why these people are actually protesting, the best thing that these douchebags can think about is, oh, well, maybe we lack security, right? So they were lucky not to be shot, the police chief says. Armed officers showed enormous restraint as mob attacked Charles and Camilla. So they showed enormous restraint. Student protesters stop Belfast traffic. There you go, little anarchy sign. That's basically a bunch of disinfo. And but student protesters stop Belfast traffic. This is in Ireland. Hundreds of students have blocked a road in Belfast city centre to protest against the UK government plans to increase university tuition fees. Aziz from Azerbaijan protests illegal. I'm not sure if I'm pronouncing this right, so if somebody knows and they can put the little pronunciation, how to pronounce it, then please help me out. But I'm not sure if it's a hijab or a hijab ban. So thousands of people in Azerbaijan have protested restrictions on this little apparatus they put over their, I guess it's a wear or something they put over their face. Muslims do in the country as a pro-Islamic sentiment continues to grow in the former Soviet state. Demonstrators took the streets of Baku on Friday after gathered in front of the Education Ministry building to protest against illegal restrictions on wearing hijab wearing students and women in Azerbaijan, a Press TV correspondent reported. This is also going on in France. Greek unions plan massive walkouts. Greek unions plan to go on strikes next week to protest the government's new labor laws, which cap public sector salaries and loosen job safeguards. This next one up is protests mar Merkel and Sarkozy meeting. Says here, leftist protesters in Germany have tried to disrupt a meeting between German Chancellor Angela Merkel and French President Nicolas Sarkozy. Haiti orders vote recount amid protests. The Electoral Council and Haiti has ordered the ballots in the country's disputed presidential election to be recounted in the presence of Haitian and international observers. So basically they didn't get the person that they wanted. They got another puppet that represents not them, but these globalists, these eugenicists who help spread cholera in their country. And that's been admitted by the UN. Let's call it the German Holiday Village. It's that season again, which means that for the third year in a row, the German Christmas Village has set up a cozy collection of wooden booths and tree vendors in Dilworth Plaza on the west side. But a few shoppers noticed something amiss yesterday on the tall metal archways signaling the entrances on the shops. The archways had just one word on the top, Village. So said it turns out that the letters spelling Christmas were removed yesterday afternoon from the archways of the north and the west sides of the plaza at the request of the managing director. Said they will be replaced with the word holiday. So there you go, folks. It's all about getting rid of any kind of religious aspects of the holiday. Like I've said before, I'm not religious myself, but I do believe in some kind of creator or creators. Councils set to start lecturing us on losing weight. Councils will be given powers to encourage residents to lose weight, cut back on alcohol, and give up smoking as part of government proposals. So those of you who are big-time statists or leftists or liberals or whatever, I'm just going to go ahead and say that the government doesn't give a crap about you or your health, so, or your freedom. So I wouldn't believe that. But hey, you can believe it if you want. I mean, you can be naive if you want. And when you die at 65 of cancer, then you go ahead and think that. Revealed, the schools where English is a foreign language for 80% of pupils. Children who speak English as their first language are in a minority in a rapidly growing number of schools, figures reveal. So the surge has been most pronounced in London, where in some boroughs, youngsters with a different mother tongue make up nearly 80% of primary pupils. So there you go. That's what liberalization, I guess, did for you in the UK, basically. Letting all, not saying letting everybody, but basically making it easier and asking all these other people from other countries to come in and drain your social system so you can have problems like you have now. House passes Immigration Dream Act. The bill gives young illegal immigrants a path to citizenship if they enroll in college or enlist in the military. Supporters call it a passage historic, but it says, but Democrats probably don't have enough votes to get it through the Senate. So here you go. We're going to be finishing up here. Please join me in part 2 of this War on Terror, Liberty, Sovereignty news segment. This is Global Government News, and I am Dargo. Thank you.